Hello and welcome to this edition of City Hall Insider. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network, and we are in studio today and talking about tourism, because if you didn't know, the unofficial start of the summer tourism season is starting very soon, and it's a busy time. So Ashley Payne, the Director of Tourism and Marketing, is here to talk about the summer tourism season.
Hello.
The thing that I think is funny is that, the perception is that, oh, you're busy now, but like all your work for the summer has been done for months. You're already thinking beyond summer now.
Oh yes, that is very true. So I think in our last conversation we were talking about how tourism is kind of a year-round thing, and that is very true for our department as well. So we have been gearing up to plan for this summer since back in December of 2022. The best thing that we can do is get ahead of ourselves and plan. So we're getting very ready for a busy summer. It's very exciting, and people have a lot to look forward to this summer.
And weather, obviously, the X factor for all that stuff, but still you're hoping for a good summer like always.
Fingers crossed.
How important business-wise, citywide, how important is the summer tourism season to New Bedford?
It's really important. I mean, we definitely see an increase in visitation between the months of May and October are really our peak season for tourism. Although we have things going on year round,
right,
that really is the time that we see the majority of people coming to visit the city, whether they're spending a few days here or they're stopping in before they go to travel to other places. The great thing about New Bedford is that we're a great launching off point. So whether you're spending the afternoon here or a few days, there's always something to enjoy, whatever you are looking for.
And for the businesses too, I'm sure that as you're talking to them, they know that for them, this is a big time of year for them, just in their financial well-being, really.
Yeah, everyone's really gearing up for a great summer. Last year was a great look into what it's going to be in this kind of post-COVID world, if you will. Last year we saw more and more events coming up throughout the summer, and we expect to see even more this year, and businesses are gearing up, staffing, getting ready, especially the restaurants throughout the city are gearing up for that.
Curious, because one of the questions I had was, you just brought it up, COVID too. Last year was sort of without COVID, but we're officially out of COVID now. How does it look, I guess, overall from your perspective compared to last year and obviously the previous couple of years?
So we'll definitely be seeing a lot more regional travel. Travel that's coming from international and long distance travel is still kind of creeping up. It hasn't reached its pre-COVID numbers yet. So we're going to see a lot of regional travel, New England travel, people traveling within the state of Massachusetts. We'll definitely be seeing a lot of that this year.
Does that mean too, as far as just events and other things, do you see them becoming more, just more of them this year as compared to the past couple of years?
Definitely, and so we're seeing more events, a lot of live music and arts-driven events, which is great because I think that speaks a lot to our community here in New Bedford and the greater New Bedford area. And that's something that people are always looking for, is how can they experience the arts and culture of a city, and New Bedford has a lot to offer.
The thing with New Bedford too is that you've got some major events, and we'll talk about those, but you also have those, I like to call them neighborhood events too, the smaller ones, but they still draw people in there. Mm-hmm. They're still important, I guess, to your overall game plan when it comes to tourism.
Yeah, it's really great. As I said, with the culture of New Bedford, whether you're looking to go to a Portuguese feast or the Guatemalan festival or a block party happening downtown, there's so many things happening and there's so much to experience in New Bedford throughout the year, but especially during the summer.
Yeah, and as you said, it's so important for those businesses. One of the signs that I've seen right now as we're starting, I know that gas prices are down. About $1.25 compared to what they were last year. How helpful is that for you, in a sense, to marketing the city? Obviously, you don't know what the gas prices are, but I would assume that the word staycation and those things are really prevalent in what you're trying to accomplish.
That's something that we kind of highlight throughout the year. So when you think of tourism, you often think of people that are coming from out of town, far away, but we really like to think of our local tourists, people who live here, and to really share everything that there is to experience in New Bedford. We hear all the time, I didn't know that existed. I didn't know there was a military museum. I didn't know that I could see X, Y, and Z. So it's really important for us to not only have the reach throughout the New England area, but also within our community to let people know, hey, this is going on. Come to this event. You're welcome to participate in things.
I know the beaches, obviously you can get beach passes from out of town for the day or whatever too, which makes it, at least from what I see there, the beach pass is a lot cheaper than going to some of the other beaches around southeastern Massachusetts as well. So you can enjoy a day in New Bedford and just spend some time at the beach too. And that's, again, another, so I guess, marketing tool for you.
Absolutely. And for anyone who is concerned about, social distancing or anything, if that's still in their mind, outdoor activities are great. Going to the beach, walking through some of our beautiful parks that we have here in the city as well.
All right. So as you're looking at 2023 now, as you said, it's been on your agenda since December of this year, and it kind of gets in a way, we're starting now in June and going through there. It really peaks, I would think, in July and August, but tell us a little bit about June here now, because this is you're trying to rev up and you're trying to get things going. And obviously school's not out, so you're still balancing that whole act that people really aren't free yet. It's probably more weekend activity, I'm assuming.
Definitely. So we have some really great things coming up in June. We're kicking off the 10th anniversary of the Summer Sound Series presented by Mayor John Mitchell. We're super excited to be able to bring back these block party concert series. So that starts June 9th. And that'll be, just like last year, alternating between Purchase Street and Union. We're going to do every other Friday this year, and we're really excited to be able to bring that back. We've got some really great organizations that will be joining the concerts to set up tables. This year, for the first time, we're also doing an artist alley in Wings Court for our July concert, July 21st. So throughout Wings Court, we'll have artists that will be there with their works of art, doing live art demonstrations. It's a really great opportunity to meet the artists in New Bedford.
One of the things curious too is because you're dealing with tourists, but you're also dealing with the people who are trying to provide the entertainment as well. So it sounds like a stupid question, but what do you tell them? Why New Bedford? Why should tourists come, but also why should those, for lack of a better word, acts or participants, why should they come to New Bedford too?
New Bedford is a small city with so much heart and so much drive. Something that really attracted me to this city was just being able to walk into a restaurant and you're going to meet possibly the business owner, and they're going to tell you about the food that you're having on your plate was caught out in the ocean with the fishing boats that are right along the harbor, freshly caught, and just hearing the story and the passion behind the people of this city is amazing. And it really is just infectious, the way that you can feel the energy and the culture and just the way that people feel about this city is amazing. And to be able to visit a place like that, you don't get that everywhere that you go. It's really a unique experience to have in New Bedford.
And you're able to show people that obviously that those events or what have you, they're successful. So if a tourist is like, why do I want to go to X? Well, people are going to it because of why. So that's something you're able to show and able to tell those folks, right?
Yeah, and so it's really great to see, especially like the growth of what we've seen in the city. So things that start out as small events have now grown to be larger and larger. And just the support from everyone, whether they're working in a nonprofit organization or they own a business downtown, seeing everyone in the community come together to help bolster these events as well, it's why we see such successful events in the city.
The other thing too, I think is curious as we're talking, and we'll get back to the June and some of the activities. There are activities and events and what have you that take place actually throughout the whole city. It's not just downtown. How important is that from your standpoint of marketing the city and again, trying to attract the tourists, but also trying to attract the participants?
It's incredibly important. So we know that downtown is kind of the hub and what people think of when they think of New Bedford, but there are so many great attractions throughout the city. Whether you're experiencing a local restaurant on Acushnet Ave, whether you are going to the Buttonwood Park Zoo, there are things throughout the city for people to experience. And it's all in such a small drive, sometimes even a walk. It's a very accessible city. And so that's what we try and tell people is that you might start downtown, but there's other things for you to see outside of just the downtown area as well.
One thing I've been amazed at over the past few years, minus COVID of course, was that Fort Tabor is such an active place for different events throughout the next 10, 12 weeks really. It's now become really a point of a place where here's activities that are going on, I don't want to say every weekend, but a lot of weekends.
Definitely. I mean, one of the biggest events that we have in the city is the Food Truck Festival that comes in, and that's usually around September, and it brings in a ton of people for that event. It's a really fun event to go to as well, and you get to just taste a bunch of different food, and they have music, and it's just a fun time for all ages.
And the locations are important too, because you kind of alluded to it earlier that I didn't know that was there. So if you're not familiar with New Bedford and all you see is downtown, but you come down to an event at Fort Tabor, wow, what a view. Or even if you're in the North End, like you said, at Acushnet Ave, and you're up in the North End, it's the city. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's different experiences for different events, I guess.
Absolutely. There are different things and different cultures you can experience all throughout the city, which I think makes New Bedford so interesting. You're never going to find one particular thing, and it makes it difficult for my job to be able to explain New Bedford in one word or one sentence, but I think that's what makes it so exciting.
How are you thinking right now, too? Because obviously a lot of talk, when you talk nationally, inflation's a huge issue. And I know that's part of what you look at as well from your seat. Do you still think people are, and it seems as though people are still, they want to be entertained, they want to do stuff. So I would assume that something like New Bedford, events in New Bedford would benefit from that, because you're not going to be able to go to, I guess, big events and spend lots of money in places.
That's a great thing about the events that we have downtown. So a lot of the events that you can go to in the city are free. So like the Summer Sound Series, free concerts. You don't have to pay or buy tickets to go see live music happening outside in the city. AHA Nights, the second Thursday of every month. You get to experience all kinds of activities and programming. Most of them are for free. A lot of the events that we have going on in the city are very family friendly, and so we know that families often operate on a tight budget. Right. I have 2 kids of my own, I understand, and so we're always trying to put together information about here are some free activities, or here are some, affordable activities to do throughout the city. And so when you don't have to worry about budgeting for tickets to something, then maybe you take your family out to dinner, or you can experience other parts of the city as well.
Ashley Payne is our guest. We're talking summer tourism here as that time of year has come up again. You touched on kids. I think one of the things too that you're trying to balance too is you've got adults who have their interests, but you're also trying, for the family of 4, like in your case, trying to entertain kids. And that's, what one person likes isn't necessarily what something else is going to work for a family of 4.
There's so many different opportunities for people to experience New Bedford, whether they're looking for late night activities and live music in a bar, or they're looking for a fun daytime activity with their family at the zoo or the Whaling Museum or the Fishing Heritage Center. There are so many different activities for any age range, any interests that you may have. New Bedford definitely will have something for you.
You were talking about June. I didn't mean to interrupt. We got kind of sidetracked there, but so continue on with the month, I guess.
So I have my little cheat sheet here. A couple things I definitely want to mention. There is going to be a a Buy Black New Bedford Juneteenth event at the Roach Jones Duff House on June 17th.
It's a long weekend that weekend too.
Yes, and so they've been doing this event for a few years. It is a great opportunity to meet Black-owned businesses, to shop around and just experience a really great event. There is also happening in June, let me find it, this, where is it?
It's a busy month.
It is a very busy month. I'm trying to find on here where it is, but Abolition Row Park will be opening June 23rd. That is going to be an incredible moment for the city to be able to unveil the statue, an area that they've been working on for a really long time.
Yeah, for a while now.
So we're very excited for that. But June is going to be a packed month. Come to the Summer Sound Series, enjoy live music, and the best way to see what's going on in the city is to go to destinationnewbedford.org. We have an event tab on our website with a calendar that is full of events that the city puts on, but also that are put on by a ton of organizations throughout the city.
And I was going to touch on the website because it's a great website and there's different things to do too. You talk obviously about events, and there's a lot of events on there, and we're talking about that. Before I get to that, a quick question. How important is it to get off to a good start for the summer season? How important is June, I guess, from your mind? Because again, people are still in school. Is it really indicative of what the rest of the summer tourism season will be like, or is it sort of just, you don't really know?
It's really hard to tell. Like you said, a lot of people are still in school, like through mid-June.
Right, families and...
But we really start to see with the Sea Streak Ferry opening, it kind of gives us a hint as to what travel is going to look like as people start heading to the ferry and coming in for events. So June is a great way to kind of gear up and see, okay, we're getting our momentum here, and by July and August, that's when you really see the peak of tourism.
Can you tweak things? Like if you're noticing, like what you were just saying, you can see how things are going. Are you able to tweak things in June to sort of help you in July and August?
Absolutely. So a lot of what we do in the tourism office is we do a lot of promotion, a lot of marketing. And so if we see that we're having kind of a low turnout for certain things, we can tweak what we're doing marketing wise to make sure that we're getting the information out to more people and having a broader reach.
Again, going back to the website, which is great. I mean, there's 4 sort of categories on there. Events was the first one, and there's, as you said, a lot of events. I didn't get through everything, but there are a lot of events, and we can talk about some of the bigger ones too in a moment. You also have lodging, and I mean, the city has hotels and things. How are we seeing in general? Are people booking the hotel rooms?
We are seeing a great turnout. I mean, even starting with March with the New Bedford Half Marathon, we saw a great turnout. The hotels were booked for that event. And so I think that's a great peek into what it's going to look like moving forward. We've been talking to the hotels. They've been doing really great so far, even just this early into the season. So we're looking forward to seeing a really great turnout for them.
I was going to say, so it's an indicator, because you're still kind of curious about what's happening after COVID. It's I guess there's still unknowns for you out there because you haven't had them. Mm-hmm. And I guess you can't go back to 2019 and say, well, this is what happened in 2019. You just don't know, right?
Yeah, we've seen, so that's something that we kind of keep track of is visitation numbers and hotel stays. And we've seen a steady increase in rooms that are being booked at the hotels and occupancy. And so we're just on an upward track, which is really, really great for the city.
Do you see people, are they coming for the weekend? Are they staying for the week? Or is it a mix?
It's a mix. We typically see people are staying for like 2 to 3 nights, which is great. We're a smaller city, and we are that really great launching off point. So if you want to get to any destinations in this little pocket of New England, we're a really great area to be in. Right.
I mean, I think you've said it before on previous shows. I mean, you're a half hour from Providence, you're an hour from Boston, you're an hour from the Cape, so we're probably the most centrally located place on the map when you really think about it.
Yeah, and something that we try and put out there too is like, sure, you might want to go to Martha's Vineyard, but come back to New Bedford where it's going to be a little more affordable for you to stay at a hotel and eat at restaurants and shop.
Right, because you can take the ferry and go for the day, but then you can come back and, like you said, go dining or shopping or what have you, and you can make it a 2 or 3 day stay because you're your hub is here.
And we've heard plenty of stories from the hotel managers of people calling and saying, I went to the island and do you have a room for the night? Because it's too expensive.
Right.
And they come back to New Bedford and enjoy their stay here.
One of the things too that you have on the website, which is big, is the dining experience. And there's so many restaurants here in the city, some that you don't even know of. And I've been here for a while and you're like, oh, well, that place exists. People do just come for the food.
They do. And I am definitely someone who travels to places just to enjoy restaurants. So I think it's really important for us to highlight all of the great cuisine that there is in the city. Something that's exciting, a year ago, New Bedford Food Tours launched in the downtown area. And so they take people through a walking tour of the downtown area to experience different restaurants and some of the art community in the area. I'd love to see that branch outside of the downtown area as they build their business as well.
Oh, that's great. Restaurants all through the city.
Oh
really.
My gosh, and some of my favorite restaurants are like outside in the little pockets of town that only locals know about.
Exactly. No, you're right.
But we have such a great restaurant scene here in New Bedford and types of cuisine that you probably won't find in other areas.
And all sorts of different cultural foods too. I mean, there's a lot out there. It's not just...
If you want Guatemalan food, Portuguese food, seafood,
Cape Verdean
food, Italian, there's something for everyone.
The other thing I thought was really interesting too is people will say, well, geez, I don't know what to do. But you guys on your website, you have itineraries. Here's what you can do for a day. And I think that's really interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily new, but it's interesting that you can sort of plan a day for folks that aren't familiar with the city.
Yeah, we're always trying to keep updated guides for people. So, for instance, family-friendly activities or affordable activities for families. Just a quick guide so that you don't have to spend your time researching and trying to put together a list of places to go. It's all there for you to save you some time.
City has anchors, if you will, events and locations. Obviously, I'm thinking you've got the Whaling Museum, you've got the National Park, you've got Buttonwood Park Zoo. Those are anchors, right? And then you've got events such as the Feast. Day of Portugal is a big event. 4th of July is always a big event down here. And people expect those, and they know that they're going to happen. That's got to be important too. That those are your constants.
Yes, absolutely. When COVID came and we heard about the feast wasn't happening, and it was such a disappointment because people look forward to those events every year. So when those announcements came a couple years later that the feast is back and everything, people are so excited. They look forward to those events. They are huge for the city, and it's a great time. Again, it's one of those things that it's great for all ages, depending on what time you go or what day you go. It's really amazing that we're seeing everything coming back full force for this summer.
And you do seem to have, I guess cooperation is the best word I can think of off the top here, with those different entities to help. Everybody's trying to help everybody else, because if one's successful, then everybody else can be successful too. I guess that's the philosophy.
Exactly, and like you mentioned earlier, we've been planning for summer for months now.
Right.
So we've been having conversations with the organizations that are putting on events this summer for months to help kind of coordinate and plan. There are so many people within city departments and organizations that go into putting events together, but we're grateful and happy to be a resource in any way that we can.
And again, like you were saying, the resources too, like the Roach Jones Duff House and the Whaling Museum, and those all help each other too.
Absolutely, especially for instance, when we put on our New Year's Eve event. We have such great support from some of the organizations throughout the city that lend us their space to put on programming. And it's really great to see when we can connect organizations together that might have events that are similar, and they say, well, we can work together and maybe we combine our event together. And then you're drawing in even more of a crowd.
Right.
So it's been amazing to see the partnerships that have grown throughout the year that I've been here.
We've got 4 minutes, but I want to give you a chance to go through the rest of the events that you were wanting to highlight.
Sure.
Even briefly, we've got talked about June, but you get July and August as well.
We do. So a couple of things that we have coming up. The Cape Verdean Recognition Parade will be in July. We have the Seaport Art Walk opening July 13th. 50s Night is happening this year, July 20th. We have the Whaling History Alliance concerts, which will be putting on concerts in Custom House Square on Thursdays. Something that's really cool that's happening this year. So as many people know, the New Bedford Folk Festival is not coming back this year. But we've kind of identified that there's going to be almost a music festival in its own that's happening in a week in July. So Thursday, July 20th, the Whaling History Alliance concert is happening. Then Friday, July 21st, we have the Funky White Honkies that will be performing with the Summer Sound Series. That's the same night we're putting on our Artist Alley, where artists will be in Wings Court. And then that Saturday is the first ever New Bedford Roots and Branches Festival, which is going to be a smaller scale type of folk festival happening.
That's a lot, yeah.
So it's a great weekend.
And then you got, in August, you've got the feast obviously starting the first weekend of August too, so
yeah,
that's big too. It seems as though too that from your perspective, the weekend really starts, if you will, on Thursdays.
It really does, yeah.
I don't know if that seems like a trend everywhere though, but Thursday nights are big nights now, and it's hard for people to to get motivated on Monday for anything, but Thursdays do seem like the starting time now.
Yeah, and it's really great because something like AHA has been happening for 25 plus years. And so people know that they can rely on that Thursday night, that they're going to go downtown and there's going to be programming happening. And so I think it's kind of expanded at that. People love coming down on a Friday and a Saturday, but now they're looking for something a little more. And so now Thursday they're coming. And I think we'll start to see, as people are coming to the city more and more, that we'll see more things happening throughout the week as well.
Although I don't know on Monday. I don't know. It's Monday, okay?
Mondays are tough.
Mondays are very tough. We got a minute left. I want to give people an opportunity who have questions, or if they're watching and they're from other communities, how can they find out this information? Who can they talk to? That sort of stuff.
Sure. So you can visit destinationnewbedford.org. That is the Office of Tourism website. You can always give us a call, 508-979-1745. My name is Ashley Payne. You can find my email address on the city's website. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions, comments. We always accept feedback. We're always looking to grow and learn.
There you go. It's great seeing you. It's going to be a busy summer, that's for sure.
That's right.
And we'll see you around the city.
Thank you.
Ashley Payne, our guest. My thanks to her for coming in, and my thanks to you for watching. That's going to do it for this edition of City Hall Insider. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.